What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Sunday Open. I am your host, Nick, joined by three people that need absolutely no introduction. Pax, Leo, and Sarah. How are we doing, guys?
Hey, Nick.
Good afternoon.
Leo.
Doing great. Doing great.
Well, it's awesome to have you guys here. Once again, I'm loving this new four-person panel here on Sunday nights. Get me to save my voice a little bit from just yelling into the void. That is my usual weekly market prep. If you didn't know, we all kind of got back from from the NinjaTrader live meetup this past weekend. I know Pax and myself had some travel woes, but we are back. We are here. We are ready to help you guys get prepared for the week. If you've never seen this show, if this is your first time hanging with us, what we basically do is we take a 50,000-foot view on what's going on this week as far as, different markets that we may be trading. I like to focus on ES, NQ, CL, GC, but as always, we kind of break things down with what we're seeing, what may be some active movers throughout the week. We talk about earnings. We talk about what's on the docket as far as economic releases, and we have a good time. We're going to have this, once again, be kind of a more open forum discussion with these three amazing traders joined on this panel with me. So it's good to be here. It's good to have all of you hanging out with us in the chat. So thank you all for being here. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about last week and get to the charts. So somehow my data did in fact load. If I was having like complete chart meltdown here for my 1 hour planning charts here right before I was coming on the air. So I'm glad to see this actually loaded. So what did we do last week? Well, we basically just had a giant inside week inside of last Friday's gigantic liquidation. And we pretty much just traded, basically inside 6,600 and, 6750s for pretty much the entire week. It was very choppy. It was very chaotic at times. I didn't really get to trade Friday and really watch much of the price action, but once again, it seems like equities were saved in kind of the pre-market, the London session. It seemed like we were just buying off to the races and basically settled inside last week's value area as far as ES and NQ. So where are we kind of going to go from here? I don't know. We're basically just sitting, like I said, still inside that candle more or less. And, until there's more information, we may be kind of sitting here for the time being. I don't know how much, how many more tariff headlines, nonsense we're going to get from the White House. The government shutdown still going on. So this is another week where I'm going to plan on being patient and kind of just take the market as it comes. I'm not looking to get too crazy heading into the rest of October here. Last week with it being options expiration as well, it seemed like we were just kind of wedged, at least on Thursday and Friday, between a couple strikes that I was watching. So Pax, Leo, Sarah, who wants to go first? What are you guys thinking heading into this week?
Well, I think last week for our stuff, I think last week was a great trade. It was inside. We didn't expand the range. We didn't expect it. We set that up, I think, pretty well last Sunday. None of us expected any range expansion after Friday's huge 250-point drop or 300-point drop in the S&P and 1,000 in the NASDAQ. But there was some really good trading opportunities. As long as you were patient, as long as you kind of waited for your setup and you managed your risk, there was really, really, really good trading opportunities that, either from the opening ranges or from the equidistant swings for me. Wednesday we rallied 34 points out of the opening range and then broke in three different equal distance swings, three different 34-point ladder rungs down to my quarterly pivot at 66.58. That's a price that will never not be my quarterly pivot, by the way. 66.58 will always be what I call a flattened zone. So, from that standpoint, it was a great trade. From a runner's standpoint, we're not going to get any, doesn't look like we're going to get any range expansion until something happens, either with earnings in the next couple of weeks or with CPI being released on Friday. They are going to release CPI, at least as far as I know. It's scheduled to come out on Friday in spite of the government shutdown So let's see what kind of stuff we're going to get this week based off of that kind of stuff. It's going to be fun. It'll be good trading. If it's not, then shut it down quickly and come back.
Yeah, 100%. This will be interesting too, because now we're starting to actually get at least the first rung, as well as Pax was just saying, of the Mag 7 earnings. We do have Tesla, Netflix, and even IBM. And what will be interesting as well to watch after the close on Thursday is just kind of hearing from Intel, since now the government owns 10% of them, how that's going to kind of shake out going forward. But we have a couple names kind of in the AI story, in the overall semiconductor space as well with Intel. So I'm curious to see how those earnings goes, but we're basically back in that kind of full swing of earnings season, with the rest of Mag 7, or at least the bulk of them, also coming in next week. So it's going to get fun for those single stock options traders and people that love to play around with earnings. So yeah, this could be hope. I mean, I'm hopeful that we potentially leave this range going forward after this week, but who knows? Sarah, what are your thoughts? We can go to Sarah's charts too, because you love to really break it down. So let's jump to Sarah's charts if you are ready.
I'm ready. Yep. So Pax kind of nailed it on the head. We said last week that we didn't expect too much movement out of the previous week's range because it was so big. So I think we were all kind of on the same page there, anticipating mostly inside weeks for the futures. They were all inside weeks except for RTY. So with the strat, we use multiple time frame analysis. We start, at the super high time frames and work down. But what's relevant heading into this week is the weekly time frame and the daily time frame. So what I've got on the charts right now is the weekly time frames, and I have last week's high marked out and last week's lows marked out for ES, NQ, and YM. RTY was a 2 up last week. It was the only one that took out new all-time highs. So it was a bit stronger. Well, it was stronger. So it was stronger. So what we're looking to do is, in the strat, we always say, what is the next 2? So how are we going to get out of the inside bars? Are we closer to a 2 up, or are we closer to a 2 down? And the answer would be we are closer to a 2 up to take new highs. Same with NQ. We are also closer to a 2 up week, which just means we took out last week's highs to the upside. That's all a 2 up is. So we would anticipate new all-time highs this week. And then what's really cool about the strat is, like I said, we use multiple time frames. So we go down to the lower time frames, and then we look for actionable signals that can trigger the higher time frame signals. So what we want to see overnight and into the morning, we want to see us stay above Friday's high, so we can get a 2 down, 2 up candle to trigger the week to target.
Sarah, what prices?
67.18. We want to stay above 67.18 for ES. We want to stay above 25.055 for NQ. So we can trigger. We want the daily participants to trigger the weekly participants, which you can see that weekly line is this orange line here. That is last week's range. That's the high and the low. And then it's really cool. We had broadening formations happen inside last week's range, which we expect. We expect price discovery to start over in a series of broadening formations, and they're trying to make new highs again. So if you see this pivot low from Tuesday's trading, you have a low, a high, a new low, and then they're coming back through this range. So we would expect them to trigger to the upside and then take out, the new all-time high targets. NQ did the exact same thing, low, high, new low, trying to make a new high, and then we'd expect it to expand in the direction of full time frame continuity, which is all time frames and candles being the same color, which is green, so to the upside. So broadening formations don't broaden forever. They resolve one way or another. And same exact story with YM. We want to stay above Friday's high to trigger the week to go to new all-time highs, something like that. And RTY is the only one that's different. RTY has a potential bearish setup because it closed weaker, like more than halfway through the candle. So the next two is closer to being a 2 down. And if we do that, we could take out these guys, their stops from September, the beginning of September. So that's what we're looking for heading into Monday. Pretty nice stuff. We call these domino trades where like a lower time frame can trigger a higher time frame. So in this case, the day can trigger the week. I can talk about, I'll touch on these real fast. Bitcoin is at the bottom of a weekly and daily broadening formation. So if you trade Bitcoin, here's your broadening formation: high, low, new high, new low, new high, new low, starting to come back through. So this would be a potential long entry above Friday's high, back through the range. So maybe they can get back up to all-time highs with the market. Oil, you guys know we talked about this the past 2 weeks. The major target for downside is 55.30 and 55.12. So this little corrective activity is not something you want to be long. You want to wait for corrective activity and then trade. You guys, well, in technical analysis, like trade the bear flag back down. We just don't talk in those terms. You would trade the reversal back down is what we would say. Gold, nowhere near reversing last week's range. The candles just keep getting bigger and bigger. And if you've been in since here, since we called it long, you're still good. You're still trailing your stops and you can tighten them even more, but you're nowhere near reversing that week. You're closer to going 2-up continuation again. So that's good. Your opening is an inside day. So maybe Monday is an inside day. And then maybe we get another 3-1-2 up for Tuesday. That would be ideal. Silver, same story. Nowhere near reversing the week, meaning we're not anywhere near taking out last week's lows. So price can't reverse until that happens first. So you're still good. And ideally, you would want an inside day and then a 3-1-2 back up for Tuesday. The dollar, I still like long. So you got a potential long signal here. And the reason I like it long is because of this big weekly broadening formation that I've had drawn for a while now. So still like that up there, that target up there. And that's really all I wanted to touch on with the futures. Any questions?
See you in the chat.
None at all.
Somebody said spill it. What happened at the party?
We had a great time, guys. It was actually a lot of fun. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it all week, to be honest, with the exception of tomorrow really being very heavy on the first qualifier for the Arena Cup. And I'm going to use this moment to remind you guys that there are still spots for, I believe, the final qualifier is what we're, I think, shooting for now. The third qualifier on November 7th, I believe. But the registration link, if you have not already signed up for the Arena Cup, it is pinned to the top of the chat. And you will get your first taste of the competition tomorrow morning, bright and early, as we will have some new faces around. And you will get an all-day stream with some of your favorite personalities throughout the day, hanging out, trading their own little kind of competition against one another. So Tanya Stowe and the rest of the crew, I can't remember who else is on Monday or tomorrow, excuse me. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So everyone, please do join in. You will have the fun of, I think me, Sara, and Pax and Chris and a few others are going to be trading on November 7th. So you'll get us on that Monday in a couple weeks. And I think, Leo, you're doing the second week, right? Next week.
Yeah, next week. Yep.
Yeah. So be a lot of fun, little different flavor, I think, to our Mondays going forward for the next few weeks. So that should be really cool and a lot of fun. So please do sign up and register if you guys have not already. So without further ado, Leo.
One thing I wanted to mention about crude. One thing I wanted to mention about crude is don't forget we rolled to Dece. We're trading December crude. Sorry, Leo.
Oh, that is probably why my charts broke. I was wondering why nothing was
Nick's
loading.
on the wrong contract, folks.
I was like no volume was loading, like none of my MGI. I was like, what did I break? So that makes perfect sense. So we're good. I got it to load now, but that's all. It's all good. Leo, do you want to share your charts?
Yeah, sure. So I'll let that load up here. NQ is kind of an interesting look from the way I look at things. We've been in balance now since late September. We've got this. We built out some volume to the top of the balance. We built out volume at the bottom of the balance. And right now we're kind of at this inflection point, a little above it right now, between basically 25,000. If you just look at this low volume node, it clearly separates the volume at the top of the range versus the volume at the bottom of the range. And so what I've marked out here is 25,388 to the top side and 24,384 to the downside. So that's kind of the boxed range that we've been in since that time.
What does it say? I'm sorry, say those levels again.
24,380 and 25,388.
Okay, got it.
Basically just 1,000-point box. And the way that's built is by value overlapping in our TH session. So as long as we're building an overlapping value, then it's going to basically box out the range that builds that value. So that's the balance area that we're in, and that low volume area here kind of separates out. And the reason I drew this big long circle is just to illustrate that the low volume node, you can clearly see, has been an inflection point from a technical standpoint as well. We've bounced off of it a couple of times here to the left, and we sold off of it a couple of times here to the right, and now we're above it. And so if you look at what we tried to do several times after that Friday, that Friday low was put in, we've tried to sell it into it, couldn't break, rallied back, tried to sell it again. So we have these long buy wicks. And so the behavior really, to me, is the buy the dip crowd is here still. And they're ever present down at those 24,400s. The difference, I think, this time is if we go back down there, I don't think these levels are going to hold once again. I would expect those to break and look for downside. So if we do that, my downside target would be 23,900 and then 23,400 if it went lower. However, I think my base case here is if we do break to the upside, or I guess my default mode is as long as we're above 25,000, I'm looking for we're going to continue up to the upside to that higher edge, 25,388. And then ultimately, if we can break out of this range, 25,900, and then as odd as it is to say 26,330. Basically, if we do that, that would be a 100% extension of the current range that we're in. And so that would kind of complete a full rotation on the much higher time frame for me. That's what I have in NQ. Nick, back to you.
I was going to ask, that was my first question. It was going to be like, okay, what is your extensions there based off of? But no, that makes a lot of sense. And I kind of agree with you. Every time we continue to hold over 25K, it's hard for me not to think we're going to go make another all-time high.
Yeah.
And there was I guess a couple times, whatever that was, Thursday, it was Thursday because I got short up there, or I initiated a lovely short from the hotel. I was hanging with T-Trades and Kane, and of course you put a bunch of traders on retreat, on vacation, whatever you want to call this week. Everyone's just asking what is what trading at, and everyone's on their phone half the time. It was actually kind of funny, Leo.
Yeah,
and then
I can imagine.
I got to hang out and meet T-Trades, and he's helping me manage a zero DTE position from the rooftop pool that we were eating lunch at. So fun stuff this week.
Not me. I'm not fucking trading unless I'm sitting in front of my computers. I have lost more money from beaches and from hotel rooms than I have at blackjack tables. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I just like the break now.
What's that,
I
Sarah?
mean,
I said I just like the break. Like if we're, doing
me too.
something, like take the break,
Me
be
too.
present.
Absolutely. It's always, I really found, I mean, to your point though, Nick, we had some great conversation and just talking about different styles, and talking about different things, the way that everybody trades differently. And, just like our conversation here, I think the three of us look at, the four of us look at markets differently, but we will always arrive at similar levels. 25,900. That's a macro level for me in the NASDAQ. 25,907. That's a level that'll never change. That was a level that we talked about with Cags on the stream. And that's a huge upside extension that Leo's got. So did you guys ever hear of Margie Teller?
No.
Margie Teller was the biggest, the largest independent futures trader in history. Nobody's ever been bigger than her. You guys, all of you ought to know who Margie is. And I was sitting around. Margie was 10%. I was 10% of the NASDAQ volume. Margie was 10% of the euro dollar quadrant open interest. Completely different. It took her 4 years to unwind her positions. Anyway, I'm sitting around the Merc Club one day with her, and she said, "You guys all have the same basic levels. You're looking at the same moving averages. You're looking at the same highs and lows. What makes you different than you? And that stayed with me. What makes me different? What makes you different? What makes us all different? Confidence. We believe in ourselves. We believe in our trading methodologies. We believe in our risk management, and we believe in our conviction, and we have the courage of that while managing our risk all the time, right? And if we're able to look at things from different angles and come at things from different angles, we can flesh out some really good trading ideas. And if we can find out some really good trade ideas that might be beyond me, that might be different than my thinking, well, then maybe we grow a little bit. And I've been doing this for 28 years. I know what works and what doesn't work as far as risk management, but I'm still learning constantly. Having conversations with Christian all weekend. He and I met in the gym. We worked out together. T-Trades, what a talented, smart kid. I mean, a young man. I couldn't be more impressed with him. Just all of these guys I sat and listened to, kept my mouth shut, asked questions, and learned, and they all learned from me. I mean, that is that's what, to Sarah's point, that's what meeting each other is about. I always learn from Sara. And last Sunday, Sara gave us, if you guys were not listening, go back and rewatch it. Sara gave us the best entries in gold that you could possibly have gotten. And I gave you the high. So between Sara and the levels I was talking about on the high, you had the whole entire trade mapped out. That's learning. Or the prices she was talking about specifically were 40.35, 40.65, taking profit of 40.77 and adding above 40.81. And I had been talking about with Cags and everybody else in here that the gold was going to had another $300-400 in it. When I was trading around 39.60, that was going to trade to 43.50 to 4400, and then it broke $150 from there. That was the trade. I mean, learning. We're constantly learning from one another, and the group that Anthony put together is unbelievably talented, and different personalities, but we all meshed. It was like we've known each other for I was going to say for 30 years, but most of you guys aren't even 30 yet. It's like we've known each other forever. And that was the great part, I thought, about this week and just being together, all learning from different traders, all learning from one another. And how beautiful was that? Not to mention a couple martinis involved.
Yeah, it was such a good week, or not week, but few days to just hang out with everybody, learn from everybody. And I think you're right, Pax. That was like my biggest takeaway is like this little almost family that Delhi has kind of built and put together, like intentional or unintentional. It just seems like that was kind of the vibe that I left it with, of just it feeling that way, that this is just a good group of people, a good group of traders, good group of humans that are all right, kind of driving towards a common goal. And I even was having this discussion with Merritt. And I just feel like a lot of us are always put like are willing to put like the educator hat on and explain concepts when we're on stream, when we're in trades with our own money at times. Like, just how are we actually explaining what we are seeing, what we did see, why this, why that, why we're getting in, why we're getting out. And I just feel like that's been really awesome to see. It's just everyone trying to be helpful to, you know, people that are coming into the stream, hanging out, learning from this, and it was just a really, really awesome few days.
It really was, and with a lot of great ideas and thoughts being shared back and forth.
Yep. Shout out Deli. He's in the chat.
Yeah, and that's just a
intentional.
testament to Deli, because he, you know, he's just the most down to earth, sweet, genuine, caring, kind, compassionate guy, and he found those people in the trading community. And that's why it does feel so comfortable, because we're all very similar. And that's what makes this space so awesome, because trading is lonely. You know, we sit at our computers all day, and when we get together and meet, you know, some of you guys are my idols, and it's just so cool to, you know, be in a space and be able to just be in your element, and everybody's passionate about the same thing. It's just a beautiful thing. So even if you can ever get to a trader meetup, if, you know, if I have one, if Pax has one, if whoever, just try and go one time. It's really, really, really awesome. It's really cool.
I couldn't agree more, Sarah. I couldn't agree more. And you know what? The best thing about Tony is, or the best thing about Anthony is that he is the same person at 46 or 47 years of age that he was when he was 18, 19 when I met him, 20 years old when I met him. The same guy. He's still a sweet soul. He's smart. Actually, he's not. He's a lot smarter than what I thought he was. I have to be honest. I said that on Saturday night, you know. He's brilliant. He's one of the smartest people I know, just for the way that he has been able to mesh together different personalities. And you're right, we are all very similar. But we and you know, you know, there's an old saying that a shared mentor that Anthony and I both have, Ira Harris says, and this comes from his mentor, Lenny Feldman. So, you know, we are all begat by somebody, right? I'm begat by Judd Hirschberg, Mickey Hoppin, and Ira Harris. So is Anthony, and then so on and so forth. So Lenny Feldman is like our grandfather mentor. Lenny's line is, if you come to trading with a big ego and a lot of money, you will soon leave with a big ego. There's a real difference between being confident and very deeply self-confident and having an ego. And I think that there's, you know, you can see that very much in our group. There's a lot of self-confidence. There's not a whole lot of ego. And that's awesome.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, 100%. All right.
Let's see.
So I guess my question to you guys, I guess the big glaring one that I'm thinking about or staring at into this week is, I guess, gold. Like you kind of had that, you know, the violent last couple days or whatever. We almost pierced up to 4,400. Like, I'm not saying sell it by any means, but I guess at what point do we say that we're going to start retracing some of this structure that we put in over the last few weeks, or are we not? And it's just going to continue to kind of be off to the races. I have a hard time. I mean, I think a lot of people, just because Asia tends to just be Asia and London, even, it just seems like you're kind of almost like locked out of the trade at times. We've already moved so much in the overnight. I feel like the last week or so, it just seems like it's been just continuing to compound day after day after day. We're exploring, and you know, we're in price discovery at higher prices just constantly. And I feel like I've heard from people just like feeling like they can't get a good entry in gold because they're coming in and it's already up 2%, like right when we're kicking off the opening range. Like I keep hearing that from a few people. So what are your thoughts, guys, kind of attacking this?
Well, can we go to my charts for a second? Because the past 3 weeks has been the exact same setup every single week.
Yeah, it really has. It's kind of crazy.
Great.
Okay, so the first thing you said was, you know, when are we going to get a pullback? The real answer is not until we break a previous week's low. We just can't go down until that happens. That's just facts. And people who are trading the trend, their stops are down here. So nobody is at risk of being stopped out.
What price? Down where?
30, basically 39.58.
Underneath 39.60. I tweeted that level live when we were trading at 39.80, 39.60. Absolutely. Okay,
That's
good.
that's where trend traders stops are. It just is. And so the past 3 weeks has been inside day breaks to the upside. So here's an inside day up, and then that you hold for 3 or 4 days. Then again, inside day up, you hold for 3 or 4 days. Inside day up, you hold for 3 or 4 days. It's the same chart. So people will be like, oh, I can't get in. No, you can. You're just not looking. And here's another entry. It's not an inside bar, but it's a 2 down, 2 up reversal, with the trend like still intact. So like there's been ways in here. And that's just the daily time frame. If you go down to like the 60-minute or the 4-hour, you're going to find a bunch of entries in. I just wanted to say that.
Steve Yetman in the chat says, you should have bought gold on Friday. Why didn't you tell me Friday, Yetman? I see exactly what you're talking about. Can you shorten that up on a shorter time frame and see if there's any entries, where you would enter? I'm going to wait for the opening range tomorrow. But if we take out, look at from a mathematical standpoint and from a trading standpoint, if we take out, oh yeah, you called the low, didn't you? You're the guy. You're the jerk off that bought the low on a $150 break, aren't you? Sure you were. Come to my room. Anyway, we made, if we close above 4,400, gold will rally another $1,000. Another $1,000 pretty quickly. But we need to, that's a tall order. I think, the gold has made its move. You guys want to be dip buyers and rip sellers, you will eventually get run over. You need to have, like Sarah's talking about, especially trading gold, because if it turns down, it's going to turn down quick and ugly and vicious. Now, Sara will give us entry prices that tell us exactly the 2 things that are most important in any trade. Where are you right and where are you wrong? You cannot take a trade unless you can define where you're wrong first, period.
Yep, I'm showing 12-hour. I'm showing 12-hour entries and stops. So like if these are all the strat entries, so they either work or they don't. So inside and up works, okay? And then you can get out on a reversal against. Inside and up works. Here's one. Inside and up works, but you would have got stopped out when it came back down. That's fine.
What prices, Sarah? You say what prices?
They're all over. 36.94, 37.84, 38.89, 39.04.
Okay.
So like when bars go 3, you have to stop out. So you would have entered there, you would have been wrong, you would have had to stop out there. Here's another entry. Enter here. That one would have been right. You could have trailed to up here. Here's another one that went 3. You would have entered there, stopped out there, tried again, entered there. You're still holding on this one. Then you had an ad there. Then you had a 12-hour ad there. Then you don't need to get out until it reverses against you. Like there's so many ways in on a trending thing, but you want to wait for the actionable signals. You don't just want to randomly buy dips. That's not what we do because it could keep dipping and then you're screwed.
Agreed.
So that's awesome. That's a beautiful chart. And look, nobody's been stopped out in so long. Look at this uptrend. It's just up, 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 up. So when it does happen, we should see a pretty fast move down. But again, I don't think that's going to happen until we take out a previous week's low, which would be 40.11 packs.
Perfect. That'd be good. If we made it down to 40.11, that was the way. I don't remember what day, but the low on a Wednesday was 40.05. I can look at a chart right in front of me. The low of the day was 40.05, and it was a Wednesday. I remember that. And then, but we took out that low. We took out 40.05, and we made it. Let me see. I'll tell you when. Yeah. It was. It was October 13th. So when we took that out, no, it wasn't. That's when we rallied. Anyway, maybe it was the 10th, but we broke underneath 40.05 and we traded down to 39.60. That was the price to buy him. That was absolutely the price to buy him. 39.60 with the tight stop underneath it, and I took profit at 43.5 and still long. There's no reason not to be long until, like you said, it was October 9th, when that Wednesday, October 9th, when we took it out. And then we made that low the next day of 39.61. To your point, Sarah, there's no reason to get out until we start taking out, until we take out 39.60.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, but that takes an awful lot of patience, doesn't it? You know, and you had last Sunday, you had great entries, 40.35, 40.65, and it was in the middle of that, you know, the volatility that we had. It was after the volatility that we had in the indices on Friday, you know, and it was a phenomenal entry. On a trade that completed the swing at 43.50 to 4,400. The swing is complete. Now gold is setting up for the next trade. You know, I'm not going to buy him at 40. I'm not going to buy him on closes. You know, I'm not going to buy him at, you know, in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to wait until my risk is clearly defined. That was the point that I was trying to make. If I can clearly define my risk and my risk is not $100 or $200 wide, then I can take the trade, because I'm going to catch $200, $300, $400 on a trade, but with limited risk. That's how you get rich. You don't get rich by taking 400 points of fucking heat. Sorry.
Right. You're right. You've been in this. You've been in this plenty long. So yeah, listen to Pax. He's right. Define your risk.
Or don't take the trade.
Yep. There's just not a lot of participation happening right now. I'm waiting to see if we get some sort of reversal back up to re-trigger the day. Ooh, this would be good. I need these candles to close though in 7 minutes.
I day trade to swing trade. I initiate. I don't know if I could be any clearer. Somebody in chat asked me whether I swing or I day trade. For example, I'll say it again. Last week, Sara gave us great day trade entry prices at 40.35 and 40.65 for swing trades. You're not going to take those and flatten at 40.77. You're going to take them up into the swing high of 43.50 to 4,400. I don't give a shit if somebody says a top. Well, we're going to top soon. Be specific. I'm specific in my prices. Be specific about your prices. Don't say I'm calling a top. Big deal. I can do that too, but I'm going to be specific in my prices, because I know I'm going to take a long. I didn't take a long at 40.35 or 40.65. I wish I did, but I did get long at 39.60. And I swung that I swung that up to 39, not to 39, to 43.50. On Friday, took the money, and that was it. That was great. Silver, don't you remember the toasty trades, the levels that we talked about in silver for the last month? Above $46.25. Crude silver needed to take out multi-year high, a 50-year high from 1980. That price is $50.36. But before that, it needed to take out the 14-year high of 2011 at $49.50, something or someplace around there. I have a chart up. I can tell you.
49.82.
Yes, exactly. 49.82. And we ran those 14-year stops above 49.82, failed to get to the Hunt Brothers high at $50.36. But once we did, we talked about this price specifically, $53.76. That is the high. That's where they stopped and reversed from on Friday, $53.76. I talked about that in the Friday show many, many times, and that's exactly where it stopped. This isn't rocket science. It's all math. It's just, you know, to Sarah's point, how are you going to enter the trade? Where are you going to get in? How are you going to define your risk? Whether it's on a short-term basis that becomes a swing trade, or it becomes a shorter term time frame stuff that gives you something to chew on. You have to know where you're going to get out first before you get in.
What's the contract month for silver? What do I?
It is right now. We are in. Hold on. Where is my dome?
I can't find.
We're SIEDs. We're Ds.
D.
Yeah.
That
D.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, it is. Oh wait, no, maybe we rolled. No, it's Ds is a tradable month.
I wish they would make this a little easier. Silver.
Yeah, Ds front month.
D. I can't find it.
Yeah, everyone says SIZ.
SIV?
Z.
Z?
Yeah,
I
Dees.
tried that. I thought, is this us? Yeah.
Dees is the front month.
Well, this is not helpful because I don't have. This is why I think that the futures market could do so much better. Like with there's no like historical data on the current month contracts. It drives me nuts. That's why I keep the continuous contracts up because I can't see levels from prior to 24, which helps me none.
Well, that's a big beef. If we want to know where we're going, we have to be able to know where we've been, and we have to be able to zoom out.
Exactly. That's why the continuous contract is so important. And what, you have to have these levels. That's why I think it's so silly. They can't just like throw the data back on there. I don't understand why.
So 53.76 is the high from Friday. 53.76 is the price that me and Kags have been talking about for the last month. Well, maybe not a month, but 3 weeks at least since we started to approach $49. Since we got I've been talking about that level since we got the quarterly pivot, which by the way, again, is 46.22, and that was back in September. So we've been talking about that price in September, and we achieved it now. So now silver, like gold, is setting up for the next move. If you're a short side. If you're bearish those contracts, if you're willing to trade the short side, then you would have wanted to sell either 53.76 with a tight stop, or $43 and I don't know 4,400, someplace around 4,400, which is I don't trade like that. I'm not going to pick a top in my trading. I'll take money in an existing trade, but I'm not going to pick a top and step in front of a running freight train. But
hey,
if that's look at things, there you go. That's your trade. Yes, sister.
How did you get 53.76?
September expiration is without going too far into it is 46.22, and then it's all mathematically based. It gave us an upside target of $49.98 with an equal distance swing level above that of $53.75.
Okay, so like pivot points, like actually like on the chart, like an indicator type deal.
Yeah, all hedge funds, HFTs, and anybody, these levels act as magnets. So they're pivot points. Once you get above the quarterly pivot, you have to be trading it from the long side and don't fade it. Here, for example, the gold quarterly pivot is 37.75. So the corresponding price to gold is 37.75. Since we broke underneath 30, since we broke out under, I think it was October 9th or 10th, when we took out the previous day's low at 40.05, we stopped at 39.60. I know I tweeted that. If we would have traded below 39.60, we would have traded down to 37.75. But that just shows the strength in these prices or in these markets. We never made it back down there. We held that macro level of 39.60, and now that's on everybody's chart, and it's on everyone's radar, and now that's where the stops are going to be. So if we can close below 39.60, then we'll trade down to 37.75. It's not rocket science. It's just how we define our risk. Where do we know we're wrong, and where do we know we're going to take profit when the market gets there? Feel like we're co-opting this entire thing. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I was literally about to say, Leo, are you going to trade precious metals now since this has been the hot topic tonight? Are you in? Are you trading gold?
I will next week. I will next week during the Arena Cup Challenge. So I'm gonna have to be doing my homework this week for next week.
Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward going last because I just want to learn from everyone's mistakes. Like watch you guys screw up trying to trade 5 things at the same time. I'm probably just going to throw 5 DOMs up, 1 chart, and just make it work.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Just have the DOMs to execute and do some quadrant charting.
Yep, that's probably the way to do it. And I guess I am the reigning whatever you want to call us, the reigning champ of this competition thus far. For
I won one, you won one. That doesn't make you the reigning champ, Nick.
When
that
did
just
you win the
makes
other?
you another
When did you win the other?
I won the first one, brother.
When was that?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you can't even name the day. Can someone?
You want me to memorize the day?
What? Well, I don't remember. When was another cup that you did?
I don't remember. Convenient for you how you don't remember the time you lost, but you do remember the time you won.
I truly don't remember us doing another competition.
We did one when we first started this ninja show.
No, I was not a part of that one.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
Okay.
I was not a part of it.
Okay. So because you didn't register and trade, you're the reigning champ because the one you did register and trade and you won.
Well,
I got it. Hey,
the head-to-head competition that we had and all day
Nick.
Promoted that.
You don't need to say anything else
on this network. I won.
You don't need to say anything else.
Fair enough.
You want to select what's your truth and what happened and didn't happen? You want to rewrite history?
I did my history. I did my job, folks. Leo was very quiet. He did his NQ prep, and then he just kind of sat there while we were running through metals and everything else. And then I got him fired up. I brought him back. He's ready to go for the week.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
we'll see who wins this one.
Well, so GLD. So there's not going to be side bets because Leo's going next week and I'm going the week after. So we won't directly compete unless I just make an alias and just
Hey, we can take some side bets.
We can, and I will give the I guess my account for Leo's week to Shab and an escrow so that she can verify that was me and I did in fact win or lose. And we'll do that. Anyway, Sarah, any other markets that you want to jump into?
Platinum looks like it's close to topping, I think. Oh. Maybe just short term, but
I want to know what is the next precious metals market that everybody's going to flock to when gold just stops fucking moving.
Palladium? I don't know.
Copper.
Yeah, probably copper.
So we hit levels on
I cannot wait to see everyone trading copper.
Copper's chart is fugly. I just looked at it.
Copper looks like copper's like the metals version of the Russell.
It's a shitty trade too. I hate trading copper, and I've done it.
Man,
I have never traded that.
But it does. It looks ugly, and if gold, it's got commercial use obviously, and if gold and I think the metals have a lot more upside. And if copper ever gets up and goes for any other reason, maybe that becomes the mover. Who knows?
I mean, gold's the favorite. It's the favorite market right now, but that's not going to last forever.
Well, it's lasted for 50 years.
It just became popular among. Well, I guess what I'm saying is it just became really popular among day traders, within the last year. Really popular. I think more people are trading gold than NASDAQ and ES, maybe.
Well, the volume doesn't reflect that, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it does.
I'd be curious to know the overnight volume compared to ES and Q. I guess I haven't looked at that.
Well, remember last week we pointed it out. The overnight volume in gold was 155,000.
Yeah.
And the S&P had done 100, or 110. But right now, gold's volume is at 9,600 and the S&P is at 107,000. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, gold's a great trade, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty part about doing what we do is we can trade whatever market's moving. I've traded gold pretty consistently since 2000. Jimmy Munoz got me in my first gold trade, and I think it was 2006 or 7. And it was at 6. I bought 612s. I got stopped out overnight at 582, and it ran up to 680 the next day. I think it was 2007. And I've traded it pretty consistently since then. It's a great trade. When it moves, it's great. When it sits, it sits. We have other open. All the opening ranges are different too, for very good reason. The metals open up with the interest rates at 8:20 Eastern time. crude and the energies open up at 9 o'clock Eastern time, and the equities open up at 9:30 Eastern time. So all of the opening ranges are staggered, gives us the opportunity to be able to position ourselves in whatever market's moving.
That is the nice thing about, you know, the staggering, like you mentioned.
Mhm.
You can, if you get a good trade out of the opening range, or however you may define your style, you know, that's a good reason to take a look at multiple markets. So
Yeah,
Pax, I got a question for you then. If
Go
you take a trade in gold, you know, when I say pre-market, you take a trade at gold's open out of the open range, and you know you've got a position on going into the index open. Are you just focused on that gold trade, or are you letting that thing just do whatever it's going to do, and then you're focused on ES for the rest?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's gold or S&P or NASDAQ or silver. If I've got a position on, once I pay for the trade and I put my stops in, then I put my offers in and my bids in to take profit below the market or above the market, and then I just kind of let the trade work. I don't stare at things very much anymore. I mean, you know, the only time I'm really kind of looking at anything is in the S&P on the open. You know, if I take a gold trade, I'm going to be long gold. Once I pay for the trade, I put my stops in. I put my, you know, like 39.60. Put my offer in at 40.05 to take profit on a trade, and then put offers in at 40.81 to take more profit at the all-time high, and then flatten up at 43.50 ish.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to stare at it.
Yeah.
Staring at the market isn't going to make it work any better. And
Although I have found Pax, like,
I don't know, Pax. I've definitely, you know, stared down the market once or twice, and it's moved for me.
But I've learned that
kidding.
like the new part of my pre-market is, like, since I've been dabbling in gold, at least for the last, like, into September, when, you know, ES and NQ were just kind of meandering at the all-time high, and I'm sitting at my desk at, you know, 6:30, 7 a.m. Central. I'm just watching the pre-market of equities just sleepwalk into the open versus, like, actually watching gold open and then looking for a trade and then potentially taking a trade. I've found that to be a much better use of my time in the morning, as I've already kind of been prepped and I'm, you know, sitting at the desk. It's like, rather than just staring at nothing, like Leo was just saying, hoping for something to happen in equities, it's like you can actually find that trade off the opening range with those staggered opens. So once I kind of remembered that, it's actually now become a part of my, like, pre-market.
Changes things, and you know, and I think Leo made this point a little bit, and certainly I did earlier in regards to somebody in the chat, is that I'm not trading to be right, I'm trading to make money. So I you know, when I put on a nice swing trade and that trade starts to work, I'm looking for places to add to it, you know, and then I'm looking for the reasons as to why the market is moving in that direction, if in fact there are any, outside of, you know, a market rallying. Why are we rallying? Well, there's more buyers than sellers. Why are we breaking? Well, there's more sellers than buyers. You know, I'll look for the reasons, and when the swing trade lines up with the macro, lines up with the technicals, well, those are great, huge, profitable trades that I want to add to. When I don't know the answers to the other things, and it's just a nice little intraday opening range swing for 15 handles, or an equal distance swing like we've been getting, or those sorts of things, you know, then I don't care about the macro. I don't care about the technicals so much. But when the market starts getting up and going, and those things all come together, those are trades that'll make your month, that'll make your quarter, that'll make your life, that'll make your year. You know, and we've got to always be on the lookout for that. And the you know, think of it as a building, Nick. We're building buildings one trade at a time. So, you know, you get to those trades that make your month, that make your quarter, that make your year, that make your, you know, that make your career. You know, you get to them one little swing at a time. If you're trading the S&P, you know, 115 handles at a time, or NASDAQ 65 handles at a time, or crude gold one swing trade at a time. You know, nice and easy. But we build our way back up there. We build our way back up there. We build our way up there. One trade at a time, knowing where we're going to get out before we get in, and where are we going to add. Anybody can make money trading futures. Very few people can keep it, and even less can grow it. I tweeted last week. I tweeted it's kind of a paraphrased quote from a that's attributed to an ancient Chinese poet. But success is light as a feather, and very few people are strong enough to carry it. Yeah, that's especially true for us.
Well, do we, Peter, do you want to go to my charts real quick, or my screen? Well, I think we kind of alluded to this as well, but looking at this week, outside of, out of some miracle, I guess the shutdown ends and data starts flowing. But even then, I think it's still going to be kind of bottlenecked with the releases from September and probably even October at this point. But the only real thing that's kind of coming out this week to really pay attention to is going to be the fact that we are going to get September's CPI in the pre-market on Friday. So we will have the inflation data coming into, I guess, away from its usual, like Tuesday or Wednesday would be released, and I'll be releasing Friday morning. So Friday is going to be your main event with that, followed by the flash PMI. And Leo, this is my favorite data point, is going to be the Michigan consumer sentiment that I just love to ruin my potential trades off the open on Friday because I'm too afraid to potentially take them into said data release at times. So that one always just gets me. It tends to be volatile sometimes, and sometimes it's an absolute non-event. So it really just depends. But those will be your big ones for this week.
Well, we also have earnings too. So
yeah,
Tesla, I front run your earnings.
Yeah, you front run my segue there, sir. So yeah,
I'll shut up.
We also have earnings. As we kind of talked about earlier in tonight's show, the big ones are obviously going to be Netflix, Tesla, and IBM. But I found it interesting, since now the U.S. government owns 10% of Intel, just to hear what they're talking about and how their earnings are. Obviously, that's not going to really affect things just yet, but I'm curious to see how if God forbid they finally do enter the AI chip race here at some point. They've had several years to potentially start catching up to AMD and NVIDIA. Maybe Intel's going to announce a partnership with OpenAI this week. Maybe that'll be the big news coming out of their earnings call, is that they're jumping on that train to pump the stock as well. Trying to think, any others? Leo, were there any others that you were paying attention to?
No.
TI. Yeah,
Tesla,
really
Netflix, IBM, INTC, ISRG, Newmeyer, AAL.
Oh, I have a bone to pick with American, but even though it wasn't their fault, I had to fly out a day later from Florida. But earnings season is back, folks.
We're hearing about Nick's travel woes for like the next 6 months.
Okay. Pax had a rough day too. He got home though. I got home. Everyone's happy. I'm excited to sleep in my bed tonight. It's all good. We made it. I survived.
Everyone's safe. Yeah. There you go.
But also shout out to Sav and Shab for absolutely coming to the rescue and dealing with me not missing my flight, dealing with me getting a canceled flight and helping me get home safely. So appreciate them.
American is the next Northwest Airlines. It's funny. And then the next, what about the next Eastern Airlines? Yeah, Halifax, you got to be about short life hacks. You got to be about my age. That's funny. Eastern Airlines. I remember smoking on Continental in like 1988. So I don't know. Look, as far as the market goes, I don't have any big. I mean, last week we had some great trades in gold that we called out and that we talked about for $300. In silver, we had a $3 trade also. And in the indices, just look for your 15-handle rotations. If we get equal distance swings, look for that. If we get back down to 66.58, get long. If we get below 66.58. If we get two closes below 66.58, we're going lower, much, much lower, 64.02, 63.50, and 60.10. Again, if we get two closes below 66.58, then we're going to trade down to 64.02, 63.50, and 60.10. As long as we're above that, I still think we're going to make new all-time highs. And not only that, but I think I don't trade my prediction. I don't trade my calls, nice call packs. I trade my process. I don't make market calls, but my opinion, which I don't trade, is that the S&P is going to trade up to 69.80 by December, and then we're going to fall apart in January. But we need to stay above 69, or I'm sorry, we need to stay above 66.58 for that to happen. We take out 66.58, then that changes the entire thing. The NASDAQ has got a shit ton of upside above that too. Its quarterly pivot is 24,568. So as long as that NASDAQ is above there, we target all-time highs, and then ultimately up to like 26,000 someplace. I don't know, far away. Let me look. Oh, I don't have it.
In fact, I was just looking, and we're 10% away from the 200-day right now in NASDAQ.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that nuts?
That's
really,
insane.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, just from September expiration, we're up like in the S&P, we're up like 15%. From above 60.10. That is just unbelievably nuts. The NASDAQ, all right, so to be specific, above 24,568, the NASDAQ is going to trade back up to the level that Leo talked about, 25,900, and then above that up to 27,246. That's a long way, man. We can trade there. Who knows what kind of crazy shit it can happen? But if the NASDAQ takes out 24, we gets two closes below 24,568, then that targets us back to like 23,109 down to 21,889. So we've got some great trading coming on into the end of the year. If you guys are looking to trade if you're looking to trade every swing or every wiggle, you're going to eventually get run over. The less you trade, the happier you're going to be. The less you trade with the bigger size, the more money you're going to make, and this is a marathon, not a sprint, man. You give the marathon, not a sprint. I mean, you don't need to catch everything. So take it easy.
Well, Sarah, final thoughts heading into tonight and this week?
I would like for us to go make new all-time highs. And I don't really care hopefully tomorrow morning we open below for me, because I don't sit here and trade at nighttime. But I hope we open like in the New York session below Friday's low, so we can trigger the day like on the SPY and Qs and all the things again, so we can get that daily move to trigger the weekly move. That is what I would like.
The RTH lows.
Yes.
What is that? 24. That's 24,670 and change on NQ, I think. What is that?
Oh, wait. No. I want upside.
I
want the chart to look like this. Boop. Oh, you can't see my chart.
We can go back to Sarah's.
Right.
So
it's okay.
Say the prices. What prices are you looking at?
I want us to open below 25,055 tomorrow, and I want to trade up back through it. And then I want to trigger the week at 25. So we want to trigger 25,055. And then we want to trigger the weekly setup at 25. We'll call it 180 to target new all-time highs. So I would like to see like a candle like that tomorrow, or maybe it takes 2 days, but realistically, we could easily do that tomorrow.
Don't forget,
we're measuring candles.
We just talked about earnings. Don't forget we have CPI on Friday. CPI data will be released, and it's going to be a huge number.
Yeah. Well, we got 4 days before then to get to the target, so that's what I'll be focusing on.
I'm with you.
Well, Leo?
I've got nothing. I said everything I needed to say. I wish everyone best of luck this trading week, and let's go out and crush it.
For sure. All right, guys.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I hope you have had a wonderful start to your trading week with us here for the Sunday Open on NT Live. It's going to be a crazy week. As a reminder, tomorrow morning, we will still have our wonderful pre-market analysis starting things off bright and early at 8 a.m. Eastern. But the show is going to look a little different tomorrow. Trade the Open is going to look a little different tomorrow, and Trade the Close as well. We will be all day watching our some of your favorite traders out there in the space compete against one another and all of you guys in the first qualifier of the Arena Cup. So please do tune in for that. But in the meantime, before we do get out of here, if you have not already, hit the thumbs up button. It does help me out. It helps the stream out. It helps more people come hang out with us here on a Sunday night. So I'd very much appreciate that. But until tomorrow, guys, have a wonderful night. Trade safe if you're going to be trading Globex tonight. And yeah, we'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, to trade the Open and get ready for the upcoming session. So take care, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.